Before we dive into the specific types of MEWPs, let's cover some general safety principles that apply no matter which machine you're operating. Before starting any work involving a MEWP, you'll need to conduct a thorough risk assessment of both the task and the work site. Consider the specific job requirements, like the height at which the work will be done, and the tools or equipment that you need, so that you can identify any potential hazards. First, let's talk about support surface and ground conditions. When you're operating a MEWP, it's really important to be aware of the terrain beneath you. Uneven ground and slopes can affect the machine's stability, so always stay within the manufacturer's recommended limits for safe operation. Keep an eye out for holes and drop-offs too. They can cause sudden drops or tip-overs, especially if they're hidden by muddy water, debris, or vegetation. And before you set up your MEWP, make sure the ground or floor can handle the machine's weight and any load you'll be carrying. If the support surface is too weak, your MEWP could sink or collapse. You should also be aware of the work area around the task and any hazards that might be present. So first, look up. Be sure to check for any low-hanging branches, beams, or other obstacles that could collide with you or the machine. Also, check for any nearby workers, equipment, or traffic that could pose a risk. Communicate with your team and think about using barriers or warning signs to keep others out of the work area. In busy or congested areas, you could also consider using a spotter to help you navigate safely and avoid collisions. And when it comes to electrical hazards, this is critical. If you're working near power lines or electrical equipment, you need to take extra precautions. Always maintain a minimum 10-foot distance from power lines. And if you absolutely have to work closer than that, just make sure you have a qualified electrician on hand to de-energize the lines first, and use appropriately rated tools and personal protective equipment specifically designed for work near energized components. Finally, if you're going to be working outside, you need to consider the weather conditions. Check the ground conditions after rain, since wet surfaces can affect soil stability and traction. Watch out for high winds, especially in areas prone to wind tunnels or sudden gusts that could destabilize you, your materials, or the machine. Your machine's safety manual should provide specific guidance on operating in windy conditions. And never, ever operate a MEWP during a thunderstorm or whenever there's lightning. The key here is just to be proactive. Don't wait until something goes wrong to start thinking about safety. By then, it could be too late. Before operating a MEWP, you also need to perform a series of checks to ensure that the machine is in safe working condition. Start by reviewing the manufacturer's instructions and guidelines for the specific MEWP that you'll be using. Each machine is different, so it's important to familiarize yourself with the unique features, controls, and safety devices of your particular model. Next, inspect the machine and any related equipment for signs of damage, wear, or malfunction. That means testing all the controls and safety devices, inspecting hydraulic systems, outriggers, and guardrails, verifying that your load is within capacity limits and properly distributed, and inspecting personal fall protection equipment if it's required. If you do find any issues, report them immediately and don't operate the MEWP until it's been repaired by a qualified technician. Lastly, when working with a lift crew, make sure that all members are trained on the specific MEWP, manufacturer's guidelines, and any worksite safety protocols. During operation, the crew should maintain clear communication using agreed upon hand signals or radio protocols. Maintain firm footing on the platform at all times, never leaning, stepping, or climbing on the guardrails. And avoid entering or exiting the platform while it's elevated, unless specifically permitted to do so and equipped with the necessary fall protection. Now that we've covered the general safety guidelines that apply to all MEWPs, let's take a closer look at the different types of MEWPs and their unique safety considerations.